Hello, everybody. You are listening to Two Rivers Tuesday. I'm your host, Maggie Colella, here with my co-host, John Teague. How are you, John?
What's up, Maggie? You changed up your intro a little bit today. I think you threw yourself off.
I did throw myself off, but it's so repetitive. I get in ruts, as
Okay.
I'm sure you have seen, but
Yeah.
it's so hard not to say the exact same thing. So I
know.
try to mix it up every now and then.
I'm digging your coffee cup.
Thank you. I'm a big fan of little cups.
I know. It is very much like a teacup.
Yes.
Like we're at a tea party.
It's perfect. It's just the perfect size.
Where did you get this mug?
In France.
Yeah. It has a French scene on it.
Yes. It's so cute.
Maybe, do they drink out of small mugs in Europe
Yes.
because their coffee's stronger?
Their coffee is like less, from my limited experience. It seems like instead of like a full cup of coffee, most people just get a little cup of espresso.
Yes. And they call it a coffee.
Yes.
Would you like to get a coffee?
A coffee, yes.
Yes. And here in America, it's some coffee. And it could be as much coffee as we
Yes.
want it to be.
Yes.
Probably too much coffee.
Yes. One of the times I was explaining what I wanted, and I was like, I want a lot of milk in it, basically. And he's just like, whoa, a lot of milk. And they're just like stunned by how much milk we want in our coffee.
Oh, okay.
Because that's like, to us, that's a latte. But to them, they're
For
just
sure.
like, why would you put so much milk in there?
You're like, why don't you order some milk?
Yes, exactly. Yes.
There's no milk in this coffee.
There is no milk. I am a black coffee drinker unless I'm like splurging and want a latte.
I got you.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Very good.
What about you? Are you a black coffee? You're a black coffee drinker, but
I
you
love black
sometimes
coffee.
splurge.
Very rarely.
Very rarely.
And I have learned probably from you that if you order things, like if you are going to splurge and get like a latte or something, order it like half sweet.
Yes.
Because it's always too sweet.
It's so much.
Yeah.
Yes. That reminded me, I recently went to Morning Brew, and on this podcast before, I have talked about their strawberry matcha. They now have a cherry matcha, and it was very good. So shout out to Morning Brew. Go get a cherry matcha, everyone. And you got to shake that up.
You got to shake it up.
You got to shake it up. It
Okay.
comes, like I said last time when I talked about the strawberry matcha, it comes with all the fruit just sitting at the bottom. So if you
Yes.
just take a sip of that, it's not the right ratio. You got to
Okay.
mix it up, and it will become like a brown color, and then it's delicious.
Brown
Yes.
color. You lost me at brown
Well,
color.
it's like you're mixing this like greenish and reddish. So it's like, it's not a pretty color. I think
Yeah.
that's why they don't mix it at first.
I got you. But then it's just matcha.
Yeah, but it's so good.
Okay.
Trust me. Trust me.
All right. Have you been to Seven Brew?
No, I kind of am like a little like turning my nose up at that for some reason.
Why?
I don't know. It just feels like it's like, oh, this is so much nastiness that's about to come out of me. But it feels like McDonald's for coffee. Am I wrong about it?
Oh,
Is
I
it
don't
not
know.
that way?
Actually, I've never been to Seven Brew. I don't really know. But
Maybe I'm so wrong. Or it feels like Scooters. So maybe I'm just like throwing another restaurant under the bus. It's
So-
just like, it feels like overly sweet everything chain coffees.
Okay. Yeah. So it's like all these drinks came in a box and
Yeah.
then they poured it into your cup.
It's what you could get at a gas station.
Oh, wow.
Is kind of my assessment of it. I just keep, let's
Just
change
keep
the
digging.
conversation.
Just keep digging a hole.
Maggie is a snob. Okay, I'm going to try Seven Brew, and then I'll
Yeah.
circle back and give my experience of it.
I think
But
the reason I asked because I had a conversation in life group with Brian House, and he was talking about Seven Brew and how they have this matcha drink that has
He loves
some
matcha.
kind of vanilla ice cream something in it.
Exactly.
And he was like, it's so good. And
Yes.
your mom was rolling her eyes as he talked about it like it was
Yes.
healthy because
Yes.
it's got matcha in it. Yeah.
Yep, I'm
Okay.
very familiar with that whole situation. Okay, we can move on from matcha, but we will circle back to that next week. Let's talk about the sermon. Are you ready for that?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so we were in part 2B of our new 3 phrases. So
Yes.
we're in the phrase be family, but this is kind of the second sermon diving into that. So we just looked at a little more practically, like what does it look like to be family? And you kind of took it from this approach of like picturing a scrapbook. So I have to know, did your mom make a scrapbook of your life?
I don't think my mom was much of a scrapbooker,
Oh, wow,
but
okay.
but definitely a photo album person. So like there are albums upon albums
Yes.
of pictures of us, my brother and I especially, holding up, but really everyone in our family, holding up their Christmas presents or birthday presents. It would always be like, hold that up. And they would take a picture of it. And my brother and I were always like, what are they doing with all these pictures of our presents?
Hilarious.
But it's funny how like years later, we're like, man, do you remember the year we got the aquarium? What year was that? And we're like, I don't know, but there's a picture of us standing next to it, 1987, because it's got the, whatever on it.
That's
Were you a
hilarious.
scrapbooker?
I was a scrapbooker, but really my mom was like really into it. I think just like when that was popular and when we were kids, just like perfectly aligned, because like every single one of us girls has like multiple scrapbooks dedicated to us, and it's like, all the teeny tiny little pieces of paper and the stickers and the cutouts, and it's just very
ribbon.
Yes.
Yeah, just like
All
it was
the
it was an industry.
Oh yes. Yes.
That industry got crushed by like, the iPhone
Yes.
and then social media.
Yes.
For sure.
Yeah, I need to get it together with something for my children, because they don't have like a single anything along those lines.
Yeah.
If I lose my phone, like it's all gone.
Done.
Yeah.
Is that stuff not in the cloud?
I hope so, but I do have storage issues and like where I just ignore notifications. So there's problems there. I
have storage issues.
Yes.
Yeah, that's good.
Jake is just like, we cannot keep paying for extra storage. It has to stop. Yes. All right. Let's talk about the sermon. You talked about being family. Let's talk about what are some broken views of family that we might come to this concept with. So like you painted a beautiful picture of like what we're going for, but what might be some of the broken views that we need to kind of work away from?
Well, we were talking about this earlier, and so I'm going to try to start this, but I think there's probably more than is just in my head that you can add to. I think that, well, we should probably just say right out the gate, when we talk about family, there's a lot of baggage with that, or there can be. There can be a lot of beauty in our family. When I talk about like our family that we're born into, right? There can be a lot of beauty in that, and there can also be some baggage with that. And sometimes we base our view of relationships on the type of relationships we had in the family growing up, and that might be good, but it might also be bad. So it's just worth saying that family might be a hard concept for some, and they may have come out of a broken family that never really mended, and so there's a lot of brokenness there and a lot of sadness there. And yet this idea of God's people, the church, being his family, that's something that can redeem that picture of family, right, for us. And so I just, it's worth saying that. And I've heard a phrase being thrown around about like how there's the family you're born into, and then there's the family you choose. And it's kind of like that was referring to like perhaps like a really awesome friend group that you have, and like they are the family you choose. You've got the family you were born into, and you've got your siblings and how they frustrate you and annoy you or whatever it is, and then you've got the family you choose. And there's something really sweet about finding fellowship with people that become like family. That's what I hope happens at Two Rivers Church, that we find friendship that become like family. But I don't want to just necessarily take all of that mindset into the church, and because when you come into the church, when you are adopted into God's family, you are born again into that family. And so in a way, like, you don't really choose who your brothers and sisters are in Christ. So you don't get to just choose the people you like, or the people that look like you, talk like you, like the same things you do. We, in a way, are like a family, like a nuclear family. We have to learn how to love people who are different than us.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
And so that's a really important part of being the family of God. That's a long answer to your question.
No, that's great. Yeah. So I think to kind of like categorize some of those broken views, the first one you talked about would be the view that, okay, the church family must be just as broken as my biological family. So I need to kind of be a little fearful or like protect myself from that, because I bet it's just like my biological family, so I can't trust it either.
Yes.
And I think the like remedy or the beautiful truth that you pointed out is actually no. One of the purposes of the family of God is to heal and redeem and show a better story than what a lot of us are coming from.
Yes.
It's the prettier, more beautiful hope of family than what some of us often experience. And I can just recall so many people in our church family who I've heard say things like, I didn't like have a good dad, but now through my church family experience here, that is being healed. I never had a good relationship with my brother or sister, but now through these relationships here, that is being healed. So I just think we have to be open to letting church family heal some of what was broken in our biological families. And obviously, ultimately, the Lord healing that, but he can heal some of those wounds through the church family that he's giving you.
Yes.
And then the second view would be that, okay, I get to choose who I want to be family with.
Yeah.
And I think that reminds me of the first week we did the catechism. The first one we did was, what is our only hope in life and death? That we are not our own, but belong to God. Yes. And I just think, again, starting with God and starting with just such a big, like much needed foundational truth that we belong to God, and therefore we are not our own, and we don't get to choose who we belong to either.
Yes.
Like we belong to God, and because of that we now belong to his family.
Yes.
And so I don't get to choose if I like that or not, or if those people make me like meet my needs enough or not. Like I belong to those people. And so I think that there's a sense of duty in that, and the catechism from this week kind of got at that a little bit, that there's a sense in which like we belong to each other, and so we have a duty to one another.
Yes,
as
use that
family.
same word.
Yes. And then the other view is just that this church family only exists to meet my needs. It's for me. And I think that is a broken view that we bring to everything, but it's just, again, does God exist? Does the church exist? Do my friends exist? Does my life group exist? Does any of it exist for me, or does it exist for God's glory, or does it exist for like a greater purpose?
Yes.
And of course, in all those things, there are benefits we get to receive from it.
Yes.
So it will be for my good and it will build me up, but it doesn't exist for me. But that is just so the water we swim in is this consumeristic, individualistic. Is this meeting my needs? Do I like this? Is it my preferences? Am I comfortable? Yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
And we just take that into everything. And
Yeah.
so if we're not careful, we treat our church family like that.
Yeah.
Are they meeting my needs? Are they making me comfortable? Me.
Yeah.
So we have to push back against all those broken views. And on Sunday, you painted a more beautiful picture of what we're going for.
Yeah.
And so you did that. Was there anything you wanted to say before I move
Well,
on?
I was just thinking about someone in our church family, and I know that family is a big deal to this person, and this person would do anything for his family, and that I have experienced that in my friendship with him. Like he would do anything for me, no matter what it was. You know, I used to joke like if I need somebody offed, you know, like
He's the guy.
I'm calling him, and he would do anything because I'm his brother in Christ. And I just so love that and appreciate that. And that's something we can take from our family, you know, the family we grew up in. It's like family's family. You're there for your family.
Yes.
And you do that even with your church family.
Yes. Yeah, I love that. Okay, just as an aside, can you think of any other things like that when someone does that for you or treats you in this way or says this type of thing to you, or even if it's just when you're in their home, like anything counts. They do X, Y, or Z, and that helps you really believe that you are family.
Wow, that's a hard. Do you have an example?
Yeah, a couple things come to mind. We talked about this a couple weeks ago to jog your memory, but yeah, like when somebody just walks into my front door, they don't knock, they just come in.
Yeah.
That, me and Jake love that so much. We tell our life group, you're not allowed to knock, because we want them to just barge right in, and we want them to come as early as they want. Like somebody this past week thought our life group started at 6:30 instead of 7, and so he just came right in at 6:30, and we were just doing our normal
fighting,
like, getting we were getting the girls ready, we were playing games, like it was chaos. But I loved that he just jumped right in, and he just started playing the game with the girls and like just joined our chaos. But anytime somebody like feels comfortable in our home, that makes me feel like we really are family.
The refrigerator.
They have refrigerator rights. If they open the fridge, if they know where, like recently Kevin Bartonfield has just been going straight to where our water glasses are and grabbing one and getting himself a cup of water, as he should. Like he should. He knows where they are. He doesn't have to ask. He can just get whatever he wants. But that kind of thing are just little tiny things. It's just like, we're family. Does anything come to mind for you?
Well, those things for sure. Refrigerator rights, definitely. Pantry rights. Like, I would feel so honored if, and I'm picturing someone who is very much like family, like Chris Jessen. Like, if I walked into my kitchen and Chris was walking out of my pantry with a bag of chips in his hand, I would feel so honored by that. Like, yes. Please, like your family. That's the first thing that comes to mind.
Yes. And when people ask us for help, like there's actually been a couple of moments where a friend like needed to take their kid suddenly to the hospital, and like they need somebody to come watch their other kids, or you're just like in those moments where you're just like, oh, what do we do? I hope they know they can call on family, and it's such an honor when I'm someone they call in a moment like that. But I think the very things that make us feel most like family, make us feel so honored, and we have so much joy in getting to do for others, are often the things we hesitate for some reason to ask people to do. And so that always just reminds me, like, I get so excited when somebody wants my help, and I can assume they might feel the same way when I ask them for their help. Like that probably makes them excited. So let's do more of that. Like don't be afraid to treat family like family and ask for help and let them be family.
That's a good word.
All right, so you walk through Romans 12, is that right?
Yeah, it was.
Romans 12, starting in verse 9, and it's just this whole little passage on like what genuine love looks like and how to be family. And so the first line is, let love be genuine. And we talked about how we can be tempted to maybe do family hypocritically. What comes to mind for what it might look like to do family hypocritically, like with a mask on?
Well, maybe the first thing that comes to my mind is you smile and say, yeah, we can totally do that. And inside you're like, oh, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And, there's probably like, sometimes you just got to do that. And your flesh is gonna have to catch up. Like your spirit knows this is the right thing to do. You do need to go over there. You do need to make a meal for them, because they're getting crushed right now, and they got a new baby in the house, and they're counting on a meal, and you've had a long day, and your inside's like, oh, I don't want to do this, and then you're like showing up with it with a smile on your face. But sometimes we just have to do that. So I'm probably saying that's not a great example, but yeah. Yeah,
just where what you're presenting is not internally like integrous. I don't know if that's the right way to word it. It's like,
well, we said it on Sunday, like your inside matches your outside.
Yes.
So I think for us, it's more a call. It's not a like, well, don't make a meal for someone if you don't feel like it. It's the other way around, right? Like, I'm thinking about that song, Gratitude, was like, come on, my soul, like, don't you get shy on me now. Like, let's lift up our song to the Lord. Like, it's kind of like, hey, come on, John. Like, like this is an honor to be able to go and do this for someone, their family, like remember this. So,
yeah, I think another way we might be tempted to do family hypocritically is just to like be content with surface level honesty. Like we kind of know what we might need to confess or say we're struggling with, or open up just enough to where it's like, yeah, I checked that box, I'm off the hook, I'm being honest, but you're not really being honest.
Yeah.
And so you're doing family hypocritically because no one sees all of it. No one sees who you really are. So I think that's a call to just like truly walk in the light.
You know, Jesus, that's a great, I don't want to move right past that. That's a great point. We sometimes say in our life group, like, say it ugly, you know, say it in the ugliest way. Don't dress this up.
Yep.
You know, I use the example in the sermon about Jesus being the good shepherd and contrasting the good shepherd with the hired hand. The hired hand is not there because he loves the sheep. He's there because he wants to be paid to watch the sheep. And so the reason Jesus is such a good shepherd is because he cares for the sheep, and he will lay down his life for those sheep, and that's us.
Yes.
Praise God. And I think that sometimes we can be kind of like the hired hand. You know, we're in this relationship for something we're going to get out of it. And that can be one of the ways that our love is not genuine, you know?
Yes. Yeah. And that goes back to your first week on this concept of how we can either contemplate people,
Yes.
really slow down and see the image of God in them, celebrate the good in them, or we can exploit them. We just see them as a means to an end. We bring our agenda to them. We are just always calculating if they're worth our time, if they're worth our investment, if they're worth, you know, any of our friendship. And that is such a twisted and broken way to view people created in God's image. I read something this morning I think framed this helpfully. It said, we often treat people like things and treat things like people. So think about your phone. Like, that's the classic example, but we often treat our phone more like a person. We spend more time contemplating and beholding and giving our attention and our time to that. And then we treat people like they're just so dispensable, you know, like they could just be used for what we need from them and then pass on by. We don't even look them in the eye. We don't see who they are. And just how broken we are because that is so our nature. But how beautiful would it be if our church family was different? Like if we really took time to contemplate one another, to see the image of God in one another, to forgive one another, to be this picture that you painted, instead of treating one another like a means to an end or just like another thing.
Yes.
To be used and then done with.
Yeah.
Okay, so that reminded me of another question I was thinking through. So just like the hired hand flees when danger comes or when something hard comes, what do you think are some of the things that come up in church family and life together and being friends that we're tempted to flee from?
Things that we're tempted to flee from.
Yes. Like this came up, I'm just gonna ditch.
Yeah. So perhaps when someone is starting to push into an area of my life that's not healthy and I want to hold on to it.
Yes.
Like that would be, that makes me want to like run away from you because you want to take my pet from me, my precious, you know, you want my precious. And I don't, who are you?
Yes.
You know, like how about you go
mind
play with your
business.
own, you know, precious.
Yes.
And I'll, you know, like,
Yep. Yeah. I think that's in us for sure. I think we also, when we get close enough to someone to start realizing some of the ways that they're different from us, or we start seeing some of the messiness in their heart and life, it can just be like, oh, that's more than I bargained for. I'm out. You know what I mean? And that's so dark and broken and ugly. But I think like we want to be a church family who, just like Jesus was almost drawn to people's mess, and that almost, when he saw their brokenness and he saw their need, he just went even more toward them. May we be that kind of people who, when we are faced with, whoa, that's messy, whoa, that's broken, there's something in us that's just like, yes, that's what I'm moving towards.
Yes.
Whereas our flesh might just be like, oh, I'm out. I don't get paid enough for this. Like, you know, and so we want to move toward people. You pulled up something. Is there something you want to say?
No.
Okay, you're not ready for it.
I'm not ready for that.
Okay, and then the other question, similar to the good shepherd versus the hired hand idea, what are some of the things that we will need to lay down for one another? What are some of the things that we're going to have to like the good shepherd laid down his life. So ultimately that's what we want to model, is like, I'm willing to lay down my life for you. But even smaller than that, what are some of the things that we'll have to lay down for one another as a church family?
I think we'll have to lay down our comfort.
Yes.
I mean, that's a broad category, but I was thinking just about, I may have to lay down my Monday night and maybe my Monday night football because you need something.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. Or you might have to lay down the comfort of, sometimes like there's people we spend time with that it's just like easy, natural, super comfortable. It's your go-to, right?
Yes.
Who you're drawn to naturally. And so, yes, spend time with those people, enjoy that good gift. But sometimes you might need to lay that down and spend time with the people you don't know as well yet, or aren't as easy to talk to, or it's a little awkward still, right? Like, lay down your preference, lay down your comfort, sacrifice to be family with people who are still your family, but don't feel like it as much yet.
Yes. Yeah.
And they never will if you don't pursue it. I think that's the the big theological truth is you are family with these people. Like, that's a fact. And so we want to act like it. We want to live into that reality. And when we act like a family, we begin to enjoy that reality and the fruits of that reality more and more. So my mindset is just like, well, it's a fact that we are family, so I'm just going to start treating them like family. And I know eventually that means I will really feel like family and I'll get to enjoy that.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think this is necessarily an answer to your question, but it might be. Actually, I could probably frame it like this, like things I got to lay down, you know, but like, what about just like, you know, when you think about your family coming over, and you've got a big family, you know, all your siblings' families are all here, and when they come over, you're not like, oh my gosh, the house, you know, like it just is what it is. Yeah. It's in whatever state that it's in, you know, you're not trying to make it look like, no, my house always looks this pristine. And it's like, gosh, I wish we could get to that level. I wish we could lay down our pride a little bit more and just be like, hey, this is, you know, like, welcome to Tuesday night, you know, and, you know, I was thinking about, and I'm trying to come up with like, what would be the more masculine version of this? Maybe you can like get on the other side and help me with this. But in her book,
The Gospel
Comes with a House Key, Rosaria Butterfield talks about like having her neighbors over and like there's just laundry everywhere. Yes. And then she had a neighbor that just came over and just started helping her fold her laundry. And that was not like an insult. That was not like, the neighbor wasn't like, oh my gosh, how dare you have laundry like sitting on the kitchen table. It was just like, let me help you fold your laundry and we'll just share this moment together and we'll talk as we're folding our children's clothes or your children's clothes. Yes. And it's like, I don't know whatever the, you know, okay. So someone came, he doesn't go to our church. He lives in my neighborhood, but he's a brother in Christ. And he came by one day. I was out in the yard working on something. I probably looked like I needed help. And he just came up and just started helping me. He just started doing it. Yes. And there was a part of me at first, it was like, oh my gosh, like I feel terrible. You know, he's over here now he's sweating, like helping me do this. And it was like such a pleasure for him to do that. And, because we're family.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I was going to say, I think the masculine equivalent is like just maybe accomplishing a task alongside of one another. Like, I feel like men are more like, tactile and like doing something together often like makes you feel bonded. So sure. I was just thinking of it for my husband, like he feels like family with his brothers when they just like run an errand together. Like how many times have they gone to Lowe's together? Like for some reason they love doing that. Yeah. But it's something Jake needs to do, is already going to be doing, but family comes alongside you in that and just does it with you. And it doesn't have to be this like scheduled formal we're getting coffee together thing. It's that is doing life together, and that's what we want to do more and more of. I was also just thinking about how like for guests I make a meal, and I put this pride and pressure on myself of like, okay, I want to have kind of like a starter and then like a meal and a dessert and maybe like if I'm feeling fancy a drink, you know what I mean? And that's a lot. But when my family comes over, I'm like, let's get leftovers. Let's combine it with some mac and cheese. Let's combine it with like what I was cooking. And we just like scrounge to get enough food. And I do not care. And they do not care. But we so often, I think, miss out on truly experiencing the joy of being family when we let our pride make us think we have to have some standard or some level of like entertainment for one another.
Yeah. This is where we got hosed by Pinterest and all the pictures of everything being beautiful, you know, and social media, just like, and how it can be so fake. It can be, at this point now, it's like, it can even just be AI, you know? And, I had AI make a picture of my house, like with landscaping, and because I was trying to redo my landscaping, and oh my gosh, it was like every square inch of my front yard was a plant.
Wow.
And I was like, well, that would cost $20,000, but also like it actually looked super real, and I'm just like. So that's like when you're like Google searching like what do the knockout roses look like in a bed, and then it's like you see this picture, it's probably fake.
Yes.
And then we're like, I could never live up to that.
Yeah. And so the dinner that people are supposedly having with their friends is oftentimes just like
staged.
Yeah, that's nice for like Christmas dinner or something, but like that's just not practical for doing life together. And so everyone can just take the pressure off and invite family into being family, and that means into your mess, into your like very unaesthetic dishes, you know, all of that. All right, one last thing before we close this. Well, we might not end here since it could be a little heavy, but you said abhor what is evil and hold fast to what is good. And so we want to be a church family who takes sin seriously, and we are, and that's something we're really proud of, is that the Lord has done something in our church family that's pretty unique, and that we really are honest, and we walk in the light, and we fight sin together. And so that's something we want to cling to and keep doing and grow in. So we abhor what is evil, and so that means when my brother or sister is sinning or sins against me, I'm not just shrugging that off and being like, well, he can do his own thing, right?
That's right.
We fight that together. And so just practically, I think that can be intimidating for people. So just imagine a scenario where your brother sins against you and you know you need to bring that to his attention. How are you wording that to him?
Well, I'm probably going to try to think about like how did this make me feel, and how is it different than what I long for, and then what I want to do is I want to come to you and not just say you know,
hurt my feelings,
bad, and you did bad, you know, like what I want to say is I want to tell you about when you said that to me, and it made me feel like this, and I long for like such a relationship of trust with you. Like I enjoy that in our friendship, and I want more of that. And when you said that to me, it made me want to like shrink away. And, you know what I mean? Like that would be one example. Like it's just a way to communicate so that you don't put someone on the, like you just don't go on the offensive. Like you're trying to cast a vision of something better. Like I have more in my heart for our friendship. You know, like I desire more. And when this happened, like that made me feel this way.
Yeah. I think that's beautiful. And we've talked about this so many times, but I think you, in this scenario, you have prayed before going into that conversation, and you're not coming into that conversation, like bitter or angry. Like you've kind of dealt with some of the sin that probably came up in your heart as a result. You've tried to deal with that, and you've probably tried to think through, well, what can I own in this? How can I take some responsibility for maybe a part that I played in it or something like that? And then you're ready and willing to forgive this brother. And I think that's the piece that sometimes we can fall short of. It's just like, I'm having the conversation, we had the conversation, but I'm going to hold on to a little bit of that. I'm going to remember that, keep that record, keep it going, hold on to it. And I just think we have to be a church family who lets it go, like do the hard work, fight for relational health, and forgive. And that means you no longer hold it against that person. And so I think that is a helpful kind of template to have.
And I would just say that it's not just for when, you know, you sin against me, Maggie, or I sin against you. But when you see in my life something that's inconsistent with the gospel,
Yes.
You need to have the permission to talk to me about it.
Yes.
And some of the same rules apply.
For
you
sure.
know, like you definitely want to go into that conversation having prayed for that, and asking for wisdom. And you also want to go into that conversation not just saying like you bad, you know, like, but it's like, hey, I want to share with you something that I see, and, you know, cast a vision of something that's better, you know, and then how this behavior or the way you've been talking about your spouse when they're not around is not what I think you most deeply believe about them.
Yes.
You know, like kind of call to the good in them
Yes.
and say, and this is inconsistent with that. And I just want to, I want to hold you to something more, because I know that thing, this is what I was trying to get out on Sunday, that sin, the reason we can't shrug it off is because we know that sin is destructive to us.
Yes.
And it like cracks the door open for the enemy to come in and then condemn us and make us feel a certain way. And now we're on our heels.
Yes.
So that's why we do it.
Yeah. And you can do that because that sin that you see in your brother or sister isn't who they are. And so that's, again, back to just our identity. Like, we are made in the image of God, and like we belong to God, and we're in Christ. Nothing can change that. So when I sin, that is not who I am. So you have full reign to call that out in me, because I know, and you know, we know that sin is not who I am. And so it should be free game, but that is the thing that I think is most against the grain of our culture, because everything in us will say, well, they didn't hurt me directly, so who am I to bring this up to them? Like, that's none of my business. I got to let them work that out. That's between them and God. You know, all this stuff that's just so like, they're an individual and I'm an individual. And unless they really obviously hurt me, I'm not allowed to say anything about it. And that's just not how it works. We have a duty to one another to fight against the sin in one another in a gentle, godly way.
That's genuine love.
Yes.
And Jesus didn't, like, in his genuine love for us, didn't just be like, well, you know,
they'll figure it out. Yes.
Like, well, you know, like he spoke right into it, you know? I mean, he stood up for the woman caught in adultery, and then like everybody cleared out, and he turned to her and he said, now leave your life of sin, you know, go and sin no more.
Yeah.
Like this isn't good. And so don't do this anymore. It's destroying your life.
Yes.
Right. Like, he offers living water to the woman at the well in Samaria, you know, but he also calls out the fact that, you know, the man she's living with is not her husband, and she's had 5 husbands, you know? And so like he's calling her to more. He's calling us to more.
Yes.
We need to call one another to more. And I'm just thinking about like how this is maybe an ugly example, but sometimes like people they may like walk in the same habitual sin, or they treat people poorly or sinfully because no one ever said something to them.
Yes.
I don't want to be that guy that like that just continues to do something unaware of how I'm affecting someone else.
Yes.
And then like people just keep passing me off to other people, and I keep causing this problem.
Yes.
I keep doing this damage because no one would say anything to me.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that is terrifying to imagine.
Yeah.
And that's how, we just have to love one another more than that.
Yeah.
Like, and I think, and this is where we like don't flee from hard conversations. Don't act like the hired hand and just say, oh, that's messy, I'm out.
Yeah.
We like run straight into that mess of that hard conversation of dealing with that sin together, and imagine a church family who does that well. How beautiful will we be to the world who so longs for that. All right. In closing, the last point you made was genuine love fights apathy together. And you talked about how we will grow slothful in our zeal if we're not abiding.
Yeah.
Like if we're not connected to the source that gives us the fuel to be family well, then of course we can't do any of these things.
Yeah.
We won't be family. And so I think in closing, as you go from here, just take a minute to go back to the vine, go back to God, and just make your home in him. Give him everyone, give him everything. Spend time looking at him and loving him, and allow him to fuel you with the joy of his countenance to continue loving your brothers and sisters and be family in this beautiful way.
Yeah, and I'll just read a verse that kind of captures that.
Great.
This is from 2 Corinthians 9, verse 8. The Apostle Paul says, God is able to make all grace abound to you, so that, having all sufficiency in all things at all times, you may abound in every good work. That means you have access to all the grace and power that you need to do what God has called you to do. So go back to the vine, as you said, and receive that power and that grace.
Yeah, amen. That's good. Thanks for listening, and we'll be back next week.
See ya.